So Colleen, I wanted to talk a little bit about the current building, the Sam Hill structure that we're all familiar with, and what, if anything, is being changed about that structure.
The beautiful Sam Hill building is on the National Register. And preserving the historical integrity of the building was one of the first criteria we faced in looking at a new design. So the architects, Gene, really worked around that, and the new wing doesn't copy it, because you don't want people to come thinking it was always there, it was part of the old building, but it picks up motifs from the building and explores those in the new design. But the actual connection to the building is quite small. It comes through a corridor. It'll be a glass corridor, and you'll actually walk through what were windows. So what we're going to do is take those windows and just go straight to the ground to create these doorways that you will walk through in order to get into the new wing. So we are preserving the historic building as much as almost perfectly.
Right.
You will be able to see it in its entirety as just the historic building from Highway 14, and even from 84 we don't think you're going to see much of the new wing, because it sort of disappears into the landscape.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the building's always going to look like it has to most of the people who have been driving by and visiting.
Right.
It's only when you walk around to the south that you're going to see the new plaza.
Which is actually, in a sense, kind of cool, because people who maybe aren't even aware when they show up that this has been done, but it's part of their trip. Whenever they come through the gorge, they stop at Maryhill. If they weren't aware that this has happened, they're going to be very pleasantly surprised.
Exactly.
So that's kind of cool.
So it's a wonderful new addition that will surprise people and amaze people and allow them to enjoy the museum so much more.
Yeah. Well, and I want to just spend a little bit of time on what's I think a very important subject. I mean, if you are breathing, which anybody around here I hope is, we're in, a very tough economic situation in this country right now, and actually globally. People sometimes go, well, how can this kind of thing be happening at a museum? But I want you to answer that, because you guys are actually able to put people to work in this whole process, utilize local contractors, and this is really a win-win, and much of the support is coming directly from this local community.
That is correct, actually. The support from this community is from businesses and donors throughout the Columbia River Gorge. Some of the names your viewers will know will be Google, In Situ, the Burlington Northern Santa Fe, and many others are banks and other businesses in the gorge are really helping out and making this happen, and we're just delighted to welcome all of those partners. As I said before, one of the major donors was Mary Hoyt Stevenson, who gave really $2.6 million to this entire project, and she was a gorge resident. And of course our board of trustees, many of them gorge residents, have contributed enormously. Laura Cheney and her husband John, Patty Burnett, and Steve from Sherman County. So a lot of the support is coming from the Columbia River Gorge. And to answer the other part of your question, our general contractor is Schomer & Sons from Portland, Oregon, but they are employing, and we are using lots of people throughout the Columbia Gorge. Gunkel Construction from Goldendale has helped us out. So is Pioneer in surveying and engineering from Goldendale, but here in the Dalles, Hagee Electric. We are employing carpenters and laborers from Stevenson, the Dalles, and Goldendale. The people who stay over are staying in local hotels. They're eating in local restaurants. So I feel that strongly that we are bringing to the community money, and I hope it's really helping.
Right. Well, it sounds like it is. I mean, that's a really good point that you make. I mean, these folks are staying in the Dells. These people are spending their money in the Dells or in the Gorge, and that's very important for our local economy. So,
yeah. So when you are a project manager, when you employ a project manager from Sherman County, Milt Ketchum from Ketchum Enterprises, and you employ Dan Gunkel. I mean, it's just they bring people too. They have their own people they're bringing into the project. So yeah.
Okay, so I don't want this to sound negative, because it's not. But what are the challenges you guys are facing right now with keeping the museum open, going into a very busy season, and having all of this construction?
Oh well. We don't really have too many challenges, I guess, because it's like there's another exhibit out there.
Okay.
Okay, so when you enter the museum today, of course you can't get on the south side because that's all a construction zone and there's fencing to keep the public out. But when you enter the museum up on the ramp, there is a sign that talks about the project and you can actually overlook it and see it. So it's like it's this another exhibit that's going on out there. So it doesn't seem to be impacting visitors. The museum will stay open throughout the whole time. Until November 15th, when we traditionally close throughout this whole construction. The noise isn't tremendous. There was a little dust at first when we were digging, but that's now gone away. So it's really not. I think it's adding to the museum experience this year, not
an intrusion.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. So tell me then some of the things that you're going to be able to do with this new space that is going to change what people have historically thought of when they think of Maryhill. I mean, because you're going to be able to do a lot more.
Well, on the plaza, we'll be able to put outdoor sculpture. So while you're looking at one of the better things of nature, the Columbia Gorge, you can also look at some of the best things that people have produced. Some really great outdoor sculpture will be out there. One of the things that you'll be able to do is take a workshop. Take a workshop and know that you're in a room and you're not in a gallery space, and the light is perfect for painting a painting or making a mosaic, and people aren't walking around and leaning over your shoulder while you're doing it. And on the flip side, visitors don't have to walk around tables and chairs and whatever people bring with them. And so it's just going to totally enhance the way the museum does its programs, its exhibits, and just the overall appearance. And then to eat lunch out on the new terrace, to eat lunch out there with the view, to get the cappuccino latte machine out of the Rodin Gallery so that you can enjoy the thinker without hearing it go off.
Yep.
Although, you know, we will miss eating in the Rodin Gallery, but it will enhance the ability of people to see the Rodin so much better, to have the cafe in another space. So yeah, it's just going to be fantastic.
Wonderful. Well, when we come back, let's talk about the future and how Maryhill will now maybe even rival some of the other bigger, more possibly well-known museums out there. So I want to talk about the future of Maryhill when we come back.
Coming up,
the vision of Maryhill is to be one of the premier museums of the West Coast, and so that's a strong vision of ours. In every category, in every piece of work that we do at the museum, we're working towards that.